This is the Illimitable Experience Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Illimitable Experience Podcast. If you're watching this video, like this video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel. We are posting great episodes regularly. Today we have as our guest Arohi. Hi Arohi, how's it going?
Hey, all well, you tell me.
I'm
How's
doing good
Dubai?
too. Dubai is great, just great. I mean, they say this is one of the lines that everybody tells, right? That one cannot say happiness cannot be bought. No, sorry, I just messed it up. We'll just edit it out. One can never say that money cannot buy happiness in Dubai. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing. And it's been great. How is it going with you over there?
all well. Chile so far, no COVID cases, thankfully, after so long. So I think Mumbai life will resume shortly.
Wow, I'm glad to hear that. Even here, uh, the restrictions of wearing the mask has been lifted recently. So that's a great start now to
Oh,
this year.
we aren't there yet, but we'll be there soon.
But we'll be there soon. Yeah. So Arohi, first of all, I would like to ask you a very question that you must have been asked a lot of times. And our mutual friend Adya also told me this, that you have a resemblance of Kiara Advani. So what is your
I
response
do
to
not.
that?
I do not. And you also stop promoting me as somebody who looks like Kiara Advani because I saw your post on Instagram. And no, I'm not impressed. I do not look like her. I don't know what people see in me. And let me tell you, not the only one, or Adya is not the only one who said this to me. There have been quite a few people, but genuinely, I don't.
Maybe it is the makeup that gives it away.
Probably, but no.
Right. Because a few people, like, really, some of them really believed when they saw the photos that, okay, this is seriously Kiara Advani is coming. Only one of them was smart enough to say, nahi, ye to koi doppelganger ko utha ke laya hai, it's not the real one. So
See, that's worse. That's worse, being called the doppelganger of some celebrity.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Need to change this.
Yeah. So, Arohi, tell me something about yourself. And now that we are recording this episode, and tell me who you are and what you do.
So academically, I'm a lawyer, but currently I'm not doing anything related to law other than my studies. I do sports presentation. I do a bit of acting. I do anything that I like but law, which is also something that I like, but I haven't seriously given a thought about making a career out of that. But then I haven't given a serious thought about making a career out of any of the other pursuits that I'm following as well. So I think right now I've kept it open. And I like to do a lot of other things. I have a lot of passions, like you can say writing, or you can say cricket for that matter. But what is the end goal? I'm not yet sure. So I'm taking life as it is. And I like doing this because it is opening me up to so many new opportunities and so many new experiences that I'm loving. And I think I'm going to take life as it comes rather than plan something out of it, which most of the people do. And there's nothing wrong in that. But this is something that's working for me. So I hope something good comes out of this.
Wow. So I guess one of the reasons that Adya really set this up was because they did see some similarities in the types of personalities that we are, right? Even I'm a lawyer and I'm into not as many things as you are, but I am also quite multiple things.
Yeah.
And this is the reason I guess this is happening. And so tell me about what about your sports presentations? How did you come to become a sports presenter? Like, are you like officially a sports presenter in a channel or like on some regular like local events?
So this idea was pitched to me by a family friend in 2017 or 18, I guess. And the friend was like, see, you look nice. And you have an interest in sports altogether. You play sports. So I think you should try something called a sports presenter. I had no idea what that was back then. But he just started his own Instagram page and he used to cover, the Pro Kabaddi League. He used to cover football matches and everything. And now his channel's become pretty big and he's also become pretty big. He went to Qatar to follow the games and everything. But yeah, he had pitched that idea in 2017-18. I, being me, I did not take it seriously. I was like, yeah, okay, we'll see and everything. Then come to the lockdown, and I was also pursuing my law back then. Like, come to the lockdown, 2020. It was my final year of law, and there was no decision by the government whether the exams were going to be held or what was going to happen, how we going to pass out. So the future looked bleak, and I didn't have any other job to do. So I was like, listen, let's just try something, because the entire lockdown, I can't just sit and do nothing, because I've never been the person who's done nothing. I've always had something or the other going on in my life. So in the lockdown, I thought, I don't know how I stumbled upon this idea again, but it just came to me one day and I was like, okay, fine, let's try it. And I got back to him. I asked him, if I want to pursue it, what do I do? He said, nothing. It's very simple. Make sample videos of yourself talking about a sporting event, or, say hosting a sporting event, something like that. And then you can like just send it to me. I'll send it out to the PR companies and let's see where it goes from there. All my close friends who have really been there with me throughout law school, and by the way, none of them are doing law anymore, but yeah, they helped me make those sample videos. And everybody was there, everybody was fussing around me more than I was about those videos. So that was something that really stuck with me. And we got those videos done. I sent it out to him. He sent it out to PR agencies. But worst part was nothing, even the sports community or in the sports zone, nothing great was happening, because everybody was home due to the pandemic, doing nothing. So there was no scope of anybody hiring me as well. Thankfully, I got an internship with this new channel that was starting called the Sports Spirit. And they were also newbies. I was also a newbie. And they were like, we want to make these weekly news videos, sports videos. So would you be interested in everything? And it just happened. Weekly news sports videos.
Sports videos, okay.
Yeah. So, and I was like, okay, let's start somewhere. Let's see where this goes. And I used to make these weekly news sports videos for them. And that's how it started. 3 months down the line, I had a project where I could work on junior cricket league in Mumbai, here in Mumbai. And I did that, Cricket Premier League. I did 3 seasons for that, 2 in Mumbai, 1 in Nasik. After that, I applied. During the same course of time, new opportunities came coming in, and I started taking them up. And, I got the opportunity to actually go and do it also. Not like the opportunities were coming and I wasn't getting work. Eventually I was being shelled out. Thankfully, everything worked out. I started doing lives, pre-match, post-match, with a digital media platform called Sports Tiger. I yet am associated with them. I'm going to cover the IPL with them upcoming. I've covered the last IPL with them. I've covered the T20 World Cup with them. Eventually, like 3-4 months back, I got a contract with sportskeeda as well. I'm sure all of y'all know sportskeeda because they're pretty big. And I make short video content for them as well. So it just kept happening, I didn't have to plan anything. As I told you, I don't plan it. Things just happen and I'm happy with them. So Thankfully, touch wood, things kept happening. And I liked what I did. So as things came up, I used to take them up, whether or not, keeping all the other things aside, whether I have the time for it, whether they're paying me well or not. All these things were just secondary. They didn't matter. Somehow I got the time, somehow I got the opportunity, and things just kept building, and I'm really happy doing what I do.
Wow. I mean, this is the thing that I've seen with lawyers, right? That I don't know about other fraternities, be it, accountants or MBAs, but with lawyers, it has been that case that we tend to explore a lot of things, be it in college or outside college, be it, associating with an NGO or doing the hosting part. And I don't know what is it within the lawyers that we do somehow, try to maintain that balance between being a lawyer by the day and doing these things as a sideline, right? And how did you, obviously I can relate to your story that this must have come across to, this must have come to your head because you must have done a lot of events in colleges as well. And that has been the case with me also, right? So when I was in college, I would, in the first year of my college, I was going out in open mics, trying to, make people laugh. But somehow that didn't turn up. It didn't turn up as expected. And I had after what? After 2 to 3 months, I guess, which is kind of early, I would say, but I get the knack of it in the early stages very well. So I decided, okay, I'm not funny as people, as the crowd expects me to be funny, right? So I gave up that option. The next option that came in line for me was emceeing the uh, college events. And that is where it started. Okay, this is something where I don't have to be funny. I don't have to pressure to be funny or make the audience laugh. At the same time, I have to be formal, which I wanted. And both of them blended. So this was like a perfect setup for me. And then
I think
it
that's the best
continued.
part.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
cut
that's
it.
where it happens.
That's
So,
the best
and
part, where you like try out a lot of things, and finally when you realize that this is not working out for you, shell that. So when somebody brings that up, you have a story about it. This is how you get stories.
right. So when I say that, okay, I'm not funny as the crowd wants me to be funny. One epiphany that I had after I stopped doing open mics was that everybody's funny in a different manner, right?
Correct.
Some people are really good at making people laugh, when the people are in the form of an audience. I, on the other hand, I'm more of a, I need to have some props to, make people laugh, right? So that was done, and then I continued being an MC for the college events, and that is when I realized, okay, I have this thing for mic. Actually, I had that thing for quite a while. It got rusted in between in midway, but then again it got repolished. I would say refurbished when I came to law college.
See, that's what happened. Law college makes you do things which you didn't even think you had in you. And then it just comes out because because you have so much time in law school, people think law is very difficult. It's not. It's easy if you like it, and you can do like multiple other things with it. Imagine my college had annual days and sports days and whatnot other days, being a law school. So I think that was like the biggest advantage for me, because so many events in college, you had an opportunity to interact with people. You had an opportunity to talk. You had an opportunity of public speaking. All these things which you otherwise also learn in law, but you can apply them wherever in your life and not just in a courtroom. So I think law school was a big part of how my personality is, turned up and everything. If law school had not happened, I don't think I would have gone down this path.
Likewise, that goes the same for me as well. So why do you think is that lawyers have this obsession of being being an orator, or being that thing where in whichever events they are present, they want to speak something, or they have that affinity towards the mic? Why is that so?
That's what the profession requires, I think. Like, if you are not a good orator, how will you convince the judges that you are the correct party in a suit or in a case? There are so many jurists or so many lawyers I can think of. First and foremost, Fali Nariman. Like, he's somebody that I really idolize in the legal world, because the way he speaks, firstly, he's taken guidance under somebody called Palkhiwala. People who don't know or who are not from the legal world, he was a great lawyer. And if you go to see, law is nothing but a stage. It is a stage where you showcase your acting skills firstly, because if you're a good lawyer and if you can actually pinpoint those small details of the other party, and you can actually sarcastically or sometimes jokingly put them down, that's something that the judges like. Nobody's going to put you in your place for that, but as long as you're right. So you need that perception, you need those acting skills, you need the right amount of audacity. You shouldn't go overboard with it. You shouldn't be a say हाँ ठीक है चल जाएगा attitude. Your attitude has to be right. There's so many things that law teaches you, which, as I said, can be used not only in a courtroom but otherwise as well. The only difference that whether they can be used in a courtroom or otherwise is that the legal knowledge behind it. If you put legality to it, you can use the same etiquettes, you can use the same characteristics to argue a case in the courtroom. If you don't use the legal aspects of it, you can use all of it in your personal life. Whether you are hosting a show, whether you're talking to somebody, whether you're pitching your idea, whether you're just having a formal or an informal conversation with anybody, just to impress anybody, all the characteristics required by a lawyer in the courtroom could be used outside the courtroom. So that is one biggest advantage that lawyers have. And especially, 5 years in a degree is not a cakewalk, because 5 years you're learning different subjects, and your attitude is just going up and up, the same, after a lawyer before law school and a lawyer after law school, you can see the difference. You can see the polish that has come to his personality. That is something which I don't think any other profession can give you. Doctors or engineers, CAs, they are qualified in their own manner, but the personality change which a lawyer or a law degree brings to you, I think that lacks somewhere in the other academically inclined professions. Yeah. So I'm really glad I'm a lawyer, because I wouldn't have spoken this much, I think, otherwise. Spoken so much sense. I speak otherwise also, but it's mostly nonsense.
Right. So this is the thing, right? A lot of things that people say that why law colleges are the best experience of their life is not because that they qualified as a lawyer or they attained the degree. These are the few things which are like intangible, okay, which cannot be like put into words, that how did you become from being this to being this. Like when you talk about acting skills, like let's talk about acting skills. When obviously you have to be a little dramatic in the courtroom, okay, you cannot just be like a robot and just read out your own whatever case out. This is when acting still comes in, and that emotional connect you add to it, right? This is right because okay, the emotions were of that party was hurt, and this is where it goes like, okay, but this cannot be taught in the books, right? Okay, if like just imagine you have a book just to how to be dramatic in the courtroom, that wouldn't make sense, right? It is these are the things that you have to see in a person. Okay, that when did that person cry? When did that person, fake his tears? Or when was the time he gave a sarcastic comment? And that is when you learn, okay, acha, ye time mein aisa bolna rehta hai. These things cannot be taught. And these are the things that, I mean, a lot of people also say, people who have like really enjoyed their law school, not the ones who have like completely dedicated their 5 or 3 years to studies, right? One of this lawyers I'm following on LinkedIn, he made a comparison why there is a high chance that a lawyer will be good at poker. Okay, I had taken the screenshot of the post, but I don't have it right now. And this is very compared that why you need to know when to bluff. Okay, you need to know when to manipulate the other person in a way. So these are the things that cannot be taught. It can only be learned on the field, and that is where it's like really the best time for lawyers to to learn these things.
And tell me, which other profession pays you for manipulating and bluffing and telling lies and putting the other person down?
I was about to walk into that, but I was like, no, let's just refill. But it's out, so it's out. So let it be now. Wow, that's true. That's true. See, I'll just give you an example, right? So this is a long time ago when one of my friends met with an accident on a highway, Mumbai-Pune highway, if I'm not wrong. Okay. And what happened is the car hit the person and he was like nearly dead, if I'm not wrong. So the people around the vicinity came around and circled around them that you killed this person, okay? And my friend's dad was smart enough to understand that okay, there is no point in arguing or giving explaining the situation ki kaise uska galti tha, how he tried to cut in. But this is what he did, right? He acted as if he also got injured in the accident, so people don't mess around with him, okay? So they take both of them to the hospital, and then the situation could be like neutralized. So this is where these things cannot be taught in school, and that is why I think it happens. Another thing is, when I was in law school, okay, in the first year itself, and just like I said, when I was doing open mics, there is a comparison that I drew when I was doing stand-ups, that how a stand-up comedian profession is similar to that of a lawyer profession. Okay, now I can just people will be listening to this, you can understand the abstract of this, not go into the technicality of it. So there is a preparation that goes, okay, before a 1 hour special comes up on a Netflix of a comedian, there are a lot of trial and errors that person has done behind the scenes to see if this joke is working or not. Same thing lawyer does. Okay, let's just draft this, then refine it, refine it. Let's just add this to it, how to say this. And then when you are confident that this is something that can be put out in the public, it is the time when you put it out and you see the results. And the same way, when the lawyer is ready, he goes to the court, pitches his case that why he is right, and the judge is impressed. And that is similar to the laughter of the audience.
And one more similarity is, many a times you think this joke or this argument will work in your favor, but it doesn't. So you can't be stuck on that. You need to be very on your toes the entire time you're performing, whether that's in a courtroom or that's on the stage, because you need to move forward as quickly as possible and as tactfully as possible so that your point is not lost, but then you're not stuck on it. So there's another similarity, which I think between a comedian or somebody who's performing on a stage and a lawyer.
Right, that's true. So Arohi, when we talk about the sports presenting stuff, right, and you also told me that you play also sports. So which is the sport that you play, and for what sports have you done the sports presentation or you're doing?
So I started playing sports in school because it was just an excuse to bunk lectures. We could officially bunk lectures if we were a part of some sport. But my school team, we had a volleyball team, we had a football team, we had throwball teams, we had all kinds of teams. And I was a part of all the teams because I was good at it somehow. I don't know how, because nobody in my family is a sports fanatic. Nobody watches cricket. Nobody watches any other sport. I don't know where I got this Keeda from. But yeah, so I started playing sports.
From sportskeeda.
I saw that coming. I saw that coming.
It had to be said.
So yeah, but I don't know where this came from. But I was a part of all the teams. I started doing well. And I never captained any team because I didn't want that responsibility. I was never the responsible one. I was always the fun person. So that is why I used to always have the major roles, say a forward. I used to play a forward in football. In other sports also, I was somebody who is one of the major guys in the team, but I was never the captain because that responsibility I could never take. More than that, I never wanted to hold that responsibility. So even when it comes to, school captains and everything, I was never a part of it, but I was always one of the popular kids in school. Like, okay, all the people from my school are going to see this. They're going to judge me big time, but okay, whatever. I said it. I said what I said. Okay, but point being that I started playing sports in school. I carried on to my college because college also had a football team and everything. Now, the only reason why I used to join all these sports is because there was no cricket in school. I used to love cricket. I have no idea where that also bug came from. Sportskeeda happened later, but before that, I don't know where that bug came from. But nobody in my family watched cricket. I was the first person to start watching cricket after the 2007 World Cup, which we won, the first T20 World Cup. And since then, I've been a crazy cricket fanatic. So because there was no cricket in school, I started playing other sports. Even in college, there was no cricket, so I started playing other sports. And somehow I got better with every year. And I got better opportunities. Like, not that I played district, I have played DSO and everything. But other than that, nothing major that I've played. But I was just this kid who used to run around the entire time. In my building, I'm not kidding. When I used to stay in Borivali, that time I used to stay in Borivali. So all the guys used to play. And I used to be the only girl playing in amongst all the guys. And all the other girls, they used to do something else. God knows what they used to do. And my mother used to literally pull me away whenever she used to see me playing with the guys. She's like, do you have any sense? Everybody is looking. You're the only girl playing amongst the guys. I have gotten beaten so many times because of just doing jhallagiri with these guys, And I used to always be there. So my body language, I used to be a total tomboy firstly. College has changed me.
I actually inferred that from the sportskeeda reels that you're putting on your story. I'm like, okay, this is, I wanted to say it, but I was like, okay, let's just wait for the recording to come and we'll find the right opportunity to say that.
No, but that's how I've been. I've always been a tomboy. Today also, I'm not kidding. When I change my clothes and I get into sports zone, I completely change. You can see me walk like a guy. You can see me talk like a guy. You can see me like doing things like a guy. I'm the most roughest player you will ever play with in football. And anybody from my college will attest to this, that I'm the most roughest player. I push, I pull, I do everything. And every sports day in our college, my knees used to be scrapped. They used to be gone. There used to be like injuries every sports day. And one sports day, I think this was the last one in my school, in my college, law school. Last sports day, I was like, listen, last sports day, thoda sa chill maar ke khelte hain, because the juniors were already a little, they were a little intimidated by me. Yeah, because I used to be like this, no? So I was like, last sports day, let it go. I didn't do anything. There was this one chick, she came and she started pushing me in a game of football, okay? And I was like, listen, I'm not doing anything. And everybody had mentioned, everybody was like, Arohi, this time we don't see you playing rough and all. So I was like, yeah, I've like toned it down. And this was the last match. This girl comes, starts pushing me out of nowhere. The ball is not even on me and she's pushing me. I got so annoyed. I don't know I said this, but people told me later. In the game of football, I shouted at her, listen, don't push me, I'll kill you. I don't remember saying this, but I said it. And this happened twice. After the match, I was so irritated. I was like, once when I decide that I don't want to play rough, somebody else starts playing rough with me, I'm going to play rough. I don't care. And since then, I was like, gone. Gone is the decision that I'm not going to play rough. Now, whoever comes in front of me is dead. But overall, that's how I started playing sports. And I've always been into sports. After I started, sports presentation, sports anchoring, I got majority of my chances in cricket, because India being like a cricket crazy nation, many of the tournaments used to happen around cricket. Then many of the tournaments that used to be broadcasted also were in and around cricket, IPL, World Cup, whatever it was. So that is why it's been majorly cricket, but I'm looking to foray into other sports as well. But there aren't a lot many channels who are doing other sports. So got to wait for that opportunity, but I'm open to it. But cricket has always been my first love. So I love doing it. Although it takes up a lot of your time, lot of your effort, more than people see, there's so many that goes on behind the cameras, but I love doing it. So I'm going to continue.
I'm glad to see that you're doing what you love. Isn't that the thing that even when I was in my law college, during the sports day in the football tournament, so we had to play 5 versus 5, right? And it was a compulsory rule of the committee that you have to have at least one girl in the team. More is
y'all
fine.
had mixed teams.
Yeah, we had mixed teams. So I was like, this is going to defeat the purpose of football, right? Like, hum rough kaise khele? But then somehow we were lucky enough that the girl that we had in our team was similar to you, who was like kind of tomboy also, and was ready to like give it back also, and not just shout for the fouls. So we were lucky in that way. We won that tournament also. But yes, that is the thing, right? Even the slightest of the physicality shown in the football, in the sport of football, will immediately, I would say, spark that need to shout the foul, because it happened with me also. So it was when we were in the finals, and my teammate was taking the corner for us, and he gave the corner. It was like somewhat at a, I would say, hip level. So I had to bend down and put her head up. Okay, but that girl couldn't save that ball, and somehow it hit her hand, or it hit some part of her body. So immediately she was like, "Oh no, this is foul. He touched my hand. He touched my hand. He touched my body." Something like that. She said. I'm like, "Wallah, this is I'm trying to hit the ball, and you're telling me this is foul." But the referee was like quite fair, to be honest, that he was like, "Acha, just because ladki ne foul bola hai, to iska matlab nahi ke foul de karke." So that went like right. But yeah, that is something that even we as boys have. See, it's not that we don't mind playing with girls, right? But we need to have that girl who is like ready to take on, and not be cry baby while we are playing the sport, right? वो होता है, सबके knees घिसते हैं, सबके हाथ पे कुछ ना कुछ लगता है, but so we need someone who is like rough enough to not cry over like silly issues. So yeah, that is it. Yeah. So now, Arohi, what events have you like done the presentation for? Like, can you tell me, and when did you do it? Like, do you like go to the local events as well, which takes place, or you do only like for the presentation for sportskeeda and the sports tiger that you told about?
So till date, I haven't been doing it since a long time. It's only been a year so far. A year more or less. And I have gotten an opportunity to cover a junior cricket league, girls and boys both, up to 16 years. And that was on ground. That was like a proper schedule on ground. Other than that, I've covered, turf tournaments and a few other tournaments. But the major tournaments which have happened, that's the IPL, the T20 World Cup, or bilateral series between India and somebody else, and all of those, I've mostly covered them online. So all the online bit, the lives, they happen for Sports Tiger. For Sportskeeda, I make short video content that's basically generally what's happening in the cricket world otherwise. So, it can be some news piece which has happened, but we try to portray it in something in a funny manner, or using the reels or the trends which are going on. And on ground, mostly it's about doing interviews with coaches, interviews with players. You do the pre and the post match shows, you do the tosses, you do the man of the matches. So a lot of interaction is happening on and off the ground. And this is the major bit why I love doing this, is because firstly, I love talking. Secondly, I like conversing with people. So I think this is something that gives me the opportunity of doing both. So I love doing it overall. Plus cricket is something that I've loved and I yet love. Yeah.
So what goes behind the preparation of presentation? Like, apart from the, would say, aesthetic part of it, the makeup, what is the preparation that you have to do, or they prepare you in a way that you look presentable? What is that goes behind the scene?
Nobody prepares you for anything. Let me tell you that. Nobody. It's you who has to do and put in all the work. So actually, it depends on you. Like for me, I don't like to be the pretty face on camera. I don't like to be the pretty face in front of the camera. Somebody just because they've kept you just because you look pretty. No, that can be an added advantage. But where does everything come from? Everything comes from here. And for that, you need a lot of reading. You need to watch matches. You need to know the stats. Probably not learn all of it, because I've never been the kind of person, even when I started watching cricket in 2007, I've never been the kind of person to remember matches, to remember stats, to remember who scored how much in which match. I can never do that. I'm yet bad with stats. But the decent thing that you can do is before every match, know everything about that match. Say if we have, for example, IPL is starting on the 26th. The first match is scheduled between, I think, Chennai and Kolkata, if I'm not wrong. And we have a new captain for Kolkata. We have a captain who's been immensely successful for Chennai since so many years. So the decent thing to do would be, read up on all the players, especially because the teams have changed now because of the mega auction. So, read up on all the players, read up on the probable 11, read up on how these two teams have fared against each other in all these past years, who wins the head-to-head clash and all of that. And then you read about how, say, the pitch conditions would affect the teams, how the pitch conditions would favor or go against the teams. Chennai's attack, then you have Kolkata's attack, then you have, because all matches are going to be played in Maharashtra, whichever stadium they want to be played at, you read about that stadium. So there are a lot of things that go in the preparation. It just depends on what you want to know. It all depends on me. Like if I am going to be a host, if I'm going to present something, if, most of the times you don't even use all this information when you're talking, because you just talk about what is happening in the match,
Right.
So this information seldom comes up. But, if some point of conversation turns towards something that has happened between some rivalry, probably maybe between the two teams, you need to have an input. You can't just sit there and you can't just say, oh, yes, of course. These can't be your inputs. If you want to be a good presenter, you need to know your stats. You need to know your incidents. You need to know your instances. So all this happens when you read. And it all depends on what you want to read, how you want to read, and how you want to prepare. So if I have to prepare for a match, I'll read about all this. Many of the people, I have seen this happen, many of the people, they don't know what's happening in a match. They don't know which players are playing, but they can bluff so well. They can just say something and it applies to the match. That's a talent that I don't possess, unfortunately. But it's also a talent to have, So whatever works for people, it is very subjective how you prepare for that. But more or less, it's all this that will help you in presentation.
And I noticed that you also covered for the IPL auction, right? When it took place on 12th and 13th of February.
13th.
With what expectations did you go in, and were you like really surprised at how the auction went? Because we could see that players like Steve Smith are unsold, okay, and the players of his league are unsold. And how was that to everyone?
The only word that can describe, I'm not kidding, one of my producers, he asked me, just in one word, if you had to describe how the auction went, I said erratic. That was how the auction went. Nobody knew what they were doing, or at least we didn't understand what they were doing. Teams like Rajasthan, let's start with them because they've been the most dramatic teams ever. They have taken 3 to 4 openers. Tell me, what are you going to do with so many, and quality openers at that? Tell me, what are you going to do with so many openers? You can't make all of them play in one match. You can't keep switching people, because if somebody's performing for you, naturally they'll get more matches than the others. Probably the others won't get a single match. Somebody like Devdutt Padikkal, they have, who else do they have? They have Jaiswal as an opener. They have Butler, correct. So many openers. Who's going to open? You can't keep switching unless you put somebody on number. They have Sanju Samson. You can't unless they put somebody on number 3 and number 4. But then, are you optimizing the utilization of those players if you're actually making them play on 3 and 4? Are they going to be as effective as they would have been openers if they come in 3 and 4? So, erratic. That's the word. Erratic.
That's right.
Dramatic. Right. Then you have somebody like Raina who went unsold. Mr. IPL going unsold.
I mean, that was... Yeah, that was something that was... I mean, I did not follow it completely as much as you did. But when I saw that Suresh Raina is unsold, that was seriously like surprising. And I was also sad for him, reason being that he has been so loyal to Chennai. And I always thought that wherever MS Dhoni will go, he's going to take Suresh Raina as a like couple. Like, agar mujhe le raha to Raina to mere saath like mere saath Raina to aayega hi. But when this thing happened, I'm like, Dhoni yaar, kya kiya? Tu bola nahi ki hum dono couple hai, usko bhi lana chahiye tha yaar. That was like, and another, I mean, that was really sad. And another surprise to me was when Joss Butler and Ashwin are in the same team and they're in Rajasthan.
Yes.
So that is
and
something.
You cannot forget Deepak Hooda and Krunal Pandya being in the same team.
So what is the beef between Deepak Hooda and Krunal Pandya? Like, I'm aware of that beef between Ashwin and Joss Butler, but what is the beef between these guys?
So the thing is, both of them played for Baroda and Saurashtra, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. And so when they were in the same team, there had been an incident of the two of them fighting. And if I'm not wrong, Krunal Pandya had slapped Deepak Hooda or something like that. And it was a big thing. And Krunal Pandya was the captain of the team, by the way. So because of which Deepak Hooda was thrown out of the team, I don't quite remember. But it was a big incident when it happened. Now that both of them are on the same team, game
now
on.
They have to
and we cannot forget, correct. And now we cannot forget the fact that Deepak Hooda has gotten his international debut cap. So he is somebody who's going to be in the playing 11, irrespective whether whoever the captain is likes it or not. So I don't know. Let's see how things are going to come up. But there was a really sweet video which was released by Butler and Ashwin. So I really like that. Let's see if the bromance continues in the IPL as well.
Oh, wow.
But the biggest takeaway of the auction, though, has been Charu Sharma, because we cannot forget what a phenomenal job he's done. Coming in, being briefed in like half an hour. Just by the way, Charu Sharma was the auctioneer. Who came in place of Madley. Richard Madley, if I'm not wrong, who collapsed due to unfortunate circumstances. But coming in and doing such a wonderful job after being briefed for say half an hour, 1 hour is not a piece of cake. It is something that is inculcated in you throughout years of doing the same thing, and that could be seen. And in fact, one thing that I liked about Charu Sharma, which was probably missing in the initial auctioneer, was Charu Sharma knew cricket and Indian cricket for that matter in and out. So there were these subtle jokes coming from him, which the initial auctioneer did not do, and which all the Indian crowd, could actually associate with or relate to. So that's something that exceptional job. So he has to be applauded for what he did on that day.
Right. I mean, even with this change in the format of IPL, it's bringing a new element of surprise, and people are looking forward to it now that 2 teams are added. But the difference I see is that when back in 2011 or 12, when they had Kerala and Gujarat as the new teams, people weren't as hyped as they are when Lucknow and Ahmedabad got added to the team. So why do you think is that people are now expecting more with this IPL?
I think as the years have gone by, the IPL has also changed a lot. Till last year, we had IPL between 8 teams, and all those 8 teams were teams which were pretty stable by now. There weren't a lot of team changes or management changes happening. Not new teams coming past 4 or 5 years. So there has been quite a stability in the IPL format, if you see. Now, because the last 2 years, the IPL was not held in India due to, the COVID and everything.
That's right.
It was held in UAE, because of which, Indian fans couldn't go to stadiums. They couldn't cheer for their team. So somehow that excitement was there, but there was no outlet to that excitement. So this is, I think, a best time where they could introduce 2 more teams, because now that IPL is going to come back to India, with the crowds being in there, I think 25% crowds are being allowed for the first half or something like that. But now with all the changes happening at the same time, and at a time where, the times are also changing, because COVID restrictions are slowly being pulled back, and then people are also getting back to normal life. This is the best time to make whatever changes. Plus the mega option, we cannot forget. It's such a huge deal. Like, imagine one team, after the auction, the only thing that I was thinking is it's going to be very difficult for me to see players in different colors.
So many
players, except for Chennai and except for Mumbai. These 2 teams have retained most of their players. But otherwise, there's so many players who are going to be seen in different colors altogether. It is going to be hard to process which team the player is in, which team did the player belong to before this IPL. So because so many changes coming in at the same time, I think the hype is also more. Plus, did you see the captains of these 2 teams? Lucknow, there is KL Rahul, and Gujarat Titans, there is Hardik Pandya.
Right.
The value of these 2 players is so high. And imagine the players who are with them. There's Rashid Khan, one of the best. Who would have thought Rashid Khan would go back and SRH would not retain him? Who would have thought David Warner would be sold for 6 crores? So many things have happened, and so many astounding things have happened, that people are actually excited for this new, phase of IPL, which might just start this year, because even the contracts have been renewed this year. New teams have come in this year. There was a mega auction, so there's been like scattering of players to different teams altogether. Let's see if we can maintain this same amount of excitement for the upcoming 8 to 10 years. But otherwise, I'm loving this change, because it's going to bring in just so much excitement, so much cricket, the festival of cricket that we see that IPL is. It is going to come back, and I cannot wait for it.
Right. And also adding to it, now that the format of IPL has also changed, right? Before it was in the table format, where at the end of the day, 4 teams with the highest points would qualify. But now they have been divided into groups, and you don't know that who you will be playing against in this final or semi-final until all the group stage matches have been played. I mean, this is something new for cricket, but it has been occurring in football, where there are groups and then the top 2 teams qualify, and then they go ahead like that. But with this is another reason why this IPL is going to be something out of the box. and I guess people should look forward to it.
Yeah, and it might be confusing. So many people tell me that they don't understand this new format. It's too complicated. Why did they have to do this and all?
People,
But
I think the people who are saying who don't understand this format are the fans who don't watch football or who haven't watched a single match of football.
yes,
That is the
correct.
thing. It's not that new, to be honest.
But if you're getting all the changes, why not a change in format? Probably if
Correct.
it doesn't work going down the line, you can always change it back to the original format. But when there are so many changes already happening in the league, one more change, which is in the format, and although, it will take 2-3 years for people to actually understand, the importance or the understanding of the format. But once it comes, people will start enjoying it as well. Any change, people don't accept it in the start itself. It takes time. So probably with time, people might be okay with this change in the format as well. And who knows, this format might be more interesting than the original one. Let's see how it goes.
Arohi, now that you have also worked with sportskeeda, right? What goes behind the making of that reel, and what is the agenda? Do you have to just make funny reels, or you intend to expand to more of a sports related reels also?
So the first thing that goes behind is every day a 10 a.m. meeting, for which you have to wake up, even though you have nothing else in the entire day, you have to wake up before 10 for that meeting. So in the 10 a.m. meeting every day, we discuss what is to be done. We discuss the ideas. Sometimes, there are two types of reels that we make. First is informative reels, which have a longer shelf life, something that is even relevant 10 years down the line, something that's relevant even 5 years down the line. So those are information reels. And then you have, the trending reels. We make something on the trending audios or the trending dance moves or whatever it is, So those are mostly something which are relevant right now. Say, the latest one which we did was, where you have to move the camera right, left, up, down. So on that, we made, because Virat Kohli was going to play his 100th test, which started yesterday. That's on the 5th. So we made his best knocks. And instead of just doing that reel, we made that reel and then we put one knock on each side of when we shift the camera. So that is how you use trends in actually showing sports content that you would want the audience to watch, or which the audience would want to watch in such reels. So it's like a mixture of it. Most of the times it's something like we don't plan on it. We don't sit and we say that, okay, we have to make, this is the reel that we have to use. Most of the time we don't even say which we want to make a reel on. Sometimes you're just going through reels and then you're like, oh, I can use this audio in one of my reels and I can make something using cricketing jingo or jargon, something like that. I don't know. So yeah, that's how it comes up. And most of the times the informative reels, of course, we need to have a proper set plan about how we want to show, what we want to show, what we want to convey. So yeah, it is a mixture of planned things and just unplanned things.
That seems really interesting. I mean, something that I also like doing those things. Okay, this is the reason that this podcast has been set up. That okay, yes, karne mein maza aata hai. So this is my own platform where I speak. But if given an opportunity, I too would like to be a sports presenter someday, and talk about the stats and how the analysis of the game. Or I think I'll be good at analysis, not for stats, I would say. But I am really liking that what you're doing, which brings me to this question that a lot of people that you must have noticed and observed as well, that they pursue like a traditional degree, that is like everyone is doing, but then they go to an offbeat career path, which something that you are doing, right? So why do you think that people go from being a traditional thing, okay, to being this offbeat career that they choose? Why is it? You have the right to say this because you are doing this, and I'll also add to it, but let's just hear what you have to say first.
Parents, I think, is the number one cause, because in our generation, because the competition is so high, I'm sure all of our parents want us to take some good degree. And because, we come from families where education, there's nothing beyond education. Education is something that you get. And the normal career path that you follow is you get an education, you get a degree, you go ahead, you pursue a career in that field. And, just that's how life is.
That's how life
Nice
works. Right.
That ye jawani hai diwani dialogue.
Right.
And, but today, that's how our parents' generation thinks. Today, our generation, we have so many options that they didn't, options that they don't understand because they never had those options. Sports presentation, who would have thought? Harsha Bhogle was like, hats off to that guy, because in being one generation behind us, like ahead of us, one generation ahead of us, he is somebody who's never played cricket. Like, never played competitive cricket for that matter. And he directly got into broadcasting, made such a huge name for himself. How many people would have thought about doing that in his generation? And let me tell you, he's an IIMA pass out. So he's taken his education. He has taken his education. He's taken his degree, and then he's come do this. Then he's come and he's doing this. So that was something that they followed then. Probably the breakout started in their generation, but now you can see more of it because there are a lot of options available. There are a lot of ways to get to those options. Today, I see so many people, or one generation behind, I see so many people, they've left their studies. They don't want their degree because they don't want to do anything with that degree. They want to pursue a career in arts, or probably, something that does not need a degree. And they're not pursuing their degrees. Whereas our generation is like somewhere in between. You can't exactly go against your parents because you're bound by them. You can't just go and do whatever you want. You can't be a nomad if you want. You can't just travel without money. You need something, you need some income. So that is why you get that degree. You satisfy your parents. Then you go ahead, you do something that you like, you satisfy yourself. That's how it happens. And more than that, if you ask me personally, I think whatever you're doing in life, I don't care if you want to pursue acting, I don't want to pursue singing, I don't care if you want to pursue something that does not require a degree. For me, a degree is very important. And fortunately or unfortunately, I've realized this after I got my degree and I started doing other things. Today, when I go to some event, when I go meet people, and they see me like hosting, do sports presentation. And later when they come to know I'm a lawyer who's doing all this, they're all the more impressed. You can see that change in the way they treat you. You can see that shift. So that is something that you only understand after you're in that position. So I'm thankful to my parents who forced me to do law when I didn't want to do it, because now I can understand the advantage of me having gotten a degree, which is a professional degree at that and not just some random degree. So yeah, I'm really thankful that I've gotten it. Plus, the kind of personality that the degree or, the 5 years of law have groomed me into, I don't think had I directly gone and done something else in life, like pursued one of my interests without getting a degree, I don't think I would have been this confident. I don't think my personality would have shaped up in this manner. I don't think, the confidence with which I present myself or I talk to people would have been there in me. So I'm really glad my parents pushed me into it. I'm really glad I'm not that generation where they go and do whatever they like without getting that degree. Because for me, I've realized now how important getting a degree is.
Right. That's so well put. And also, see, I would like to add to that too, that I think that degree is necessary, but the fact that you need to have some foundation of something to groom your skills, right? Like when you go to college, right? You don't have the responsibility to earn. Okay, the only responsibility one has is to complete the studies and graduate, right? So along with that, that also gives you a time to pursue other activities without the pressure to succeed in it. And when you don't have the pressure to succeed in it,
exactly,
it just happens in a way ki acha isme maza aa raha hai, we can do this. And when you have built that foundation without any pressure to succeed, that is when the person is like, okay, I can do something in it. आगे मैं जाके pressure ले सकता हूँ, but अभी तो मुझे मजा आ रहा है, right? So that is how people change.
Correct.
And this is the thing, right? I am also of the same opinion that any degree that you choose to do, like the traditional, like law, C, or whatever the thing is, those are the degrees that groom you in a way where your skills are, polished, right? Like I'll give you an example. So a lot of things that we are learning while of video editing and all these things that I'm doing is research, right? Nobody taught me to how to video edit, or my brother how to edit, how to use Canva, everything. So how do you do research? You go on YouTube, you do that, and that thing comes up, and then it is a mixture of intuitive learning as well as that book knowledge that I gained from college, right? I'll give you another example. I personally am inclined a lot towards marketing, right? But I have not done MBA in marketing, nor have I done my bachelor's in marketing. So how do I do it? So वो भी research skills काम आएंगे ना? And see that
Right.
and the vocabulary is already there. As a lawyer, we learned a lot of words that people don't use regularly.
Correct.
So even that is not an issue. All you need to do is that acha, be really great at your research and draft things in a way that really is impressive to the eyes of someone who you are presenting to. So from my perspective, it will always be that what my college taught me was excellent research. And when all the 3 years of law taught me was excellent research skills. And second is excellent drafting skills. ये दो चीज है ना, then you can be anything that you want to be, right? आजकल अगर and it's so like there is a freedom also to do it, right? There is no pressure कि draft करने जा रहा है या research करने, and you have to restrict yourself. No, I can go to see how people post reels in America. I can go to see how people post reels in UK. I can see how people post reels in Australia. So the research करने के लिए तो that's the best part. And I think hopefully I'll get into marketing only at the end of the day. That's what I'm thinking, because I love the the flamboyancy of the career. I'm not personally a flamboyant person. The flamboyancy of that field कि अच्छा ये करने को मिलता है, that is what is impressive. And just like the one mutual point that I also was going to point out is the impression it creates on the opposite person, right? When you see कि अच्छा ये बंदा marketing का बंदा, he's really good at it, but when they see अच्छा ये तो lawyer भी है, oh my god, so that is ये दो amalgamation is something that really impresses
that oh my
people.
god is the key. That oh my god which you spoke of is the key.
Right. And over the years, now my brother is 5 or 6 years younger to me, right? And what I've seen with people of his generation or the younger generation is that the curriculum that they have is not so strong to give them a career in the field that they want to pursue. Something that really impresses
oh my
people.
god is the key. That oh my god which you spoke of is the key.
Right. And over the years, now my brother is 5 or 6 years younger to me, right? And what I've seen with people of his generation or the younger generation is that the curriculum that they have is not so strong to give them a career in the field that they want to pursue. Like if I would have chosen like BMM or BMS in marketing in my graduation, I don't think the curriculum would have been so strong कि मैं कुछ कर सकूं बस खाली bachelor's degree के basis पे. But this law was so tough that नहीं, अभी तो तोड़ के ही रहेंगे. There is no way out. There is only through. So that is something that I really like. And obviously nowadays people are choosing. People have I cannot say that it's a clarity of thought, but they have that courage to pursue a degree what they want to pursue. Like there are some courses like gender studies and stuff in abroad countries. So who knows?
Yeah.
But kind of courageous to take that as well.
And one more point adding up to this is we always have a backup career. You've done law, you're pursuing something else. I've done law, I'm pursuing something else. Tomorrow that something else does not work out, I can always come back to law.
Right.
You have a strong degree to fall back on. So I don't think there's a bigger advantage than that, because even as you said, even I wanted to do BMM. My father's like, nothing doing. You either take admission in law or you sit at home. I don't care if you sit at home. But, you're not doing anything else. So I was like, okay, let's see. 1 year, after 1 year, there were so many of my peers who left the degree because firstly, the interest was not in it. Probably they were also like forced to do it. Or secondly, they didn't get admission anywhere else. So I saw them leave law school, do something else that they liked. But after my 1 year, when I had the option of, I could have done that. I could have told my father, listen, I can't do this. Like, let me just switch back to BMM or some other degree. But then I thought, 1 year I've put in this, and not like I completely hate it. It's not that I hate it, but probably my interest lies somewhere else. Does not mean I don't have an interest in this, because you can have multiple interests, right? So I was like, okay, let's go through with this. Anyway, even if tomorrow he asks me, okay, you don't want to do this, what else do you want to do? I didn't have an answer to it. Rather go ahead with 5 years of this. 5 years buffer period I'm getting to think about what I want to do in life. That is another reason why I pursued law.
Wow. Also, Instagram and all these platforms that we have, like YouTube, it is giving an opportunity to every individual to be who they are, right? Be it, there are people I've seen who are engineers, but they are into finance. I've seen CAs who are into not finance exactly, but something else, right? So there's something that the social media has done very well. I mean, if people use it wisely, then it is good. Correct. So that is how even look at you, right? You are a lawyer. 5 years ago, if you would have somebody would have asked you, how do you become a presenter, or how do you present yourself in the public, you wouldn't have an idea. But now that Instagram is there, if I create a content creation page for myself, I can put out content, people will watch, people will like, and someday somebody will see it, right? So that is something that the social media has done very well. And that is a great opportunity also for people who want to pursue like a...
5 years back, somebody would have asked me how to present yourself in front of public. I would have said, much oblige, your lordship. These are my issues. These are my arguments advanced. And this is what my client has to say.
Right. That's true. Now, Arohi, apart from all these things, right? What is it that you are into, like sport, apart from sports and the sports presenting that you do? What are your hobbies, like adventure sports or something that is offbeat? Because I believe you will certainly have something that is offbeat and that not everybody is doing.
So I like to read. I like to write. I like to sing. Like, I'm classically trained Hindustani classical singer. And adventure sports, as you mentioned, I love adventure sports. Like, any opportunity of doing anything offbeat, and I'll be the first person in the line. Actually, jahan main khadi rehti hu, line udhar hi shuru hoti hai, aisa kuch. But yeah, like, I love adventure sports. Like, be it paragliding, be it parasailing, be it skydiving. Not like I've done all of this. I haven't, but it's on my list. I've done a few. But bungee jumping, whatever it is, you tell me there's something new that's opened up in the city. I'll be the first one to go there and try it out, and then give reviews, rave reviews at that to everybody else. So if things go well, I hope they do, I'll be getting my first adventure spotting license before the end of this month.
What is that? What is that exactly? What is the license? What right does it give you?
So it's yet in the planning stage, but if I do it and if nothing else comes up in between, I'm really hoping to get my paragliding license before the end of this month from Beer.
So you'll be able to teach others how to paraglide?
No.
Is that...
So I will be a qualified solo paraglider.
Oh, wow. Wow. And what are the locations that you can go to for paragliding?
So, the best place in India is nothing but Birbiling. Birbiling is in Himachal. And it has also, in fact, hosted one of the paragliding World Cups in 2015, if I'm not wrong. But that's one of the biggest places in India. Other places, you have one in Kamshet as well, which is like the closest one to me. But given the heat in Mumbai and everything, I would rather go to Birbiling and do it rather than do it here, because I'll die of heat if I do it here. But so Birbiling is the place to go to. and it's some 3 hours from Dharamshala, McLeodganj Dharamshala. That's something that most of them would know. So yeah, I'm planning to get it from Beer, and it's like a 7-day course so there are 4 levels. There's like P1, P2, P3, P4. I'm going to do the P1 and P2 together for 7 days.
Wow. So again, it's just, I mean, the during this entire course of the conversation, right? Every offbeat thing that you told me about has something from my side also to say. So I'm in Dubai, and I told you that when we talked for the first time that I got the opportunity to learn horse riding, right? Now here's the thing. To the first time when I told you the horse riding, so this is what happens. Like people don't understand the term equestrian, right? So I had deliberately toned it down by saying, "Acha, I'm learning horse riding." But when you said, "Acha, you're trying to be an equestrian," I was like, "Okay, this is impressive," because these are the terms that people don't use. And I'm like, both of us should be like grateful for what we are doing. And I mean, not everybody has that privilege of doing everything, or I would say, I don't know how to put it correctly, but not everybody has the privilege to fail. It is because we have tried so many times and so many things, we're able to like figure out why I don't like this or why I like this and why I should pursue it, and what where can I see myself few years or few months down the line, something like that. Also, there's this thought that popped up in my mind just yesterday or day before yesterday night, that the highest amount of freedom a person can have is to follow his or her own heart. That is the epitome of having freedom. There is nothing beyond it, because people will always have some things that they want to pursue, but due to some reason they won't be able to pursue. But that's the highest amount of freedom, when you can follow your heart completely.
So, I'll tell you something before we move on to this, because you've mentioned equestrian and because both our interests lie in it. So, many people don't know what equestrian is. They think it's horse riding. I have immense interest in it because, I have my reasons, but I would want you to, tell them, because we have spoken about this topic. What exactly is equestrian and how is it different from horse riding? Because I get so flustered when people call it horse riding. It is not. It is so much greater.
So here's the thing. When I'll just break it down. If you're riding for like a random ride, right? जब हम बचपन छोटे थे, तो there used to be those horses outside gardens, right? You used to take like 2 or 3 circles and that would end. So that is like normal horse riding. Now equestrian is like a course only, I would say, that enables you to learn horse riding fully. And when you learn that course, or when you have completed that course, you can ride horses anywhere in the world. And it's not that anybody can give you horse and you can just bluff, I'm an equestrian, I know how to ride a horse, give me the horse. No, you have to be like a real certified equestrian to be able to ride horses. And one thing that I would like to point out is that initially when I joined, now here's my inspiration. How did this come to happen? Back in 2020, when the lockdown had started, obviously a lot of time, we had a lot of time. And my brother and I started watching the Peaky Blinders. Okay. And that is where I was like, ye seekhna hai. The first scene itself, ye seekhna hai. I just said it, okay. And back then I did not have the plan to come to Dubai. Okay. It was not on the cards to come. So like, ठीक है, अभी decide तो कर लिया, सीखना है. Decide कर लिया, not even के desire है, no, ये अभी सीखना है. So okay, हुआ. Then in around September 2020, we came to Dubai. And obviously मेरे law का 1 साल बाकी था, तो I was like, ये सब बाद में भी हो सकता है. Let's just complete the last year of law and then we can do that. वो भी किया. And then I started learning horse riding. Now here's the thing. Everybody who watches a person ride a horse thinks that it's easy. I was of the opinion that horse riding is easy, सीख लेंगे. When I met people at the Equestrian Club, उन लोग भी बोलते थे, when I saw people doing this, I thought it was easy. But
Right.
when it really came to happen, right? When you sit on that horse, when you have to use the force to pull that horse, when you have to have the strength in your legs to kick the horse,
Correct.
all that things when have to be, when it has to be done simultaneously, that is when it becomes tough. And everybody is of the opinion कि नहीं यार, it's really tough. It looks really easy कि अच्छा बस खाली वो क्या बोलते हैं रस्सी पकड़ के रखा है, but it's not the case. There are a lot of muscles that you don't see that are moving, and it really takes a toll on your lower back as well at some point कि अच्छा उछलना है या आगे जाना है something while doing that. So yeah, that has been the blanket experience. When people see that, people say it's easy, but when people start doing it, it's not easy. It's difficult. That's it. That's it. And I think, I mean, I was shocked also. So when I had no plans to come to Dubai, I was looking for, okay, Mumbai mein kahan pe? So one is obviously in Mahalakshmi, the
Correct.
horse riding course. I mean, horse racing course. तो वो तो यार काफी एक्सपेंसिव था, एंड वहां पे रोज महालक्ष्मी से आना जाना, दैट इज नॉट समथिंग आई वुड डू फॉर लाइक 1 hour, बस बिकॉज आई हैव टू राइड अ हॉर्स फॉर 1 hour. बोरीवली, टू माय सरप्राइज, एक बोरीवली में भी है, एंड इट्स एट
Really?
yeah, and that came as a big surprise. बोरीवली में यार लोग घोड़े चलाते हैं, क्या कूल जगह है बोरीवली. तो वो बात हुई, बट ठीक है, बाद में तो वहां से निकलना ही हो गया. बट इट हैज बीन, यहाँ पे सीख लिया, इट हैज बीन लाइक great experience. I'm just one level shy of completing my first belt, I would say. Like karate mein kaise belts hote hain, so just one level shy of completing the belt, and I'll be posting the photo as well when I complete that, and I'll do that. I'm certainly going to do that.
I'll be super jealous.
That's the thing about horse riding. It's really great.
The first time, I consulted somebody over Equestrian. She had been doing it for 1 year before that. And she told me, listen, once you join horse riding, you don't need any other exercise in life. No gym, nothing. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, how's that possible? All I have to do is sit on the horse, But she's like, no, trust me on this, that, once you started, you will not have the energy to do anything else. Forget the desire. You won't have the energy to do anything else. And probably it is. The more I started researching on it, I realized that it's more tough than it looks, and it's definitely not as easy as just sitting on a horse and just maneuvering it wherever you want it.
No, another thing is that when I decided when I was about to take the admission in my club, okay, I was searching for, मैं तो मतलब वो टाइम पे तो मुझे equestrian word भी पता नहीं था. ऐसा मुझे लगता था कि jockey is the right term. Because so मैं बोला कि अच्छा जॉकी देखते हैं, बट उसमें है कि पर्सन हु राइड्स हॉर्स प्रोफेशनली ऑन अ रेस, तो उनको जॉकी बोलते हैं. सो दिस इज व्हेयर पीपल कंफ्यूज्ड. यू कैन नॉट से दैट आई एम ट्राइंग टू बी अ जॉकी. नो, यू आर नॉट ट्राइंग टू पार्टिसिपेट इन अ वर्ल्ड कप ऑफ दैट रेसिंग. सो देन आफ्टर सम रिसर्च, अगेन द स्किल्स दैट आई लर्नड इन माय लॉ स्कूल, वहां पे फाइनली आई केम टू दिस वर्ड कि अच्छा इट्स कॉल्ड अ पर्सन इज लर्निंग टू बी अ हॉर्स राइडर इज एन इक्वेस्ट्रियन. And another thing was another thing that I would like to point out is, I don't know if it's like a standard that is set up by all the clubs or not, but there is some classiness to a horse riding club. And so this is my observation. I'll tell you both, okay? Every girl that I saw, be it a 5-year-old girl, and I was surprised. Okay, there are 5-year-olds also learning horse riding. I was like, damn, I mean, मैं कितना लेट हूँ, तो अगर ये 5 साल के बच्चे कर रहे हैं, तो मैं तो कितना लेट हुए चीज करने के लिए. But they have a very classy way of coming to the club. All the women that come in the horse riding club have braids. Okay, they don't have open hair, and it's not that this is enforced, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's not enforced. It's like the discipline, like you follow when you're dancing. But over here, so women come with braids. They have like well dressed, and as far as I have known, they don't apply makeup also when they come for riding. So it's not even like people use it as an excuse के dating market में देखते हैं कि यहाँ पे जाके किसी को उससे बात करने last them out. That is also not the case. People legit come with a serious opinion of learning horse riding, and they stick to it. And men also come well dressed. They have the khakis that they wear and the color and the t-shirt that they are assigned, helmets, and yeah, that's the thing.
The discipline which you spoke of in equestrian, now probably because of that, or I don't know, somehow it's reflective of it. But in India, that is why the sport was dominated for years by the army men. Nobody other than the army would invest their time, money, otherwise in this. And people who did, they didn't get a lot of opportunities, because let me tell you that the federation in India, the Equestrian Federation in India, they also, the people who are managing that federation, they have some connection to the army, or they are, ex-army men, veterans or something like that. So the discipline is indirectly reflected in it. You don't need some extra efforts to get that in, Now, there have been people from other than military backgrounds who are getting into the sport, who are playing the sport to that level where, you come in public as somebody like a Fawad Mirza, who even represented India in the Olympics in equestrian. But people like them, but him also, he has a lineage. He comes from a family who are kings. So that discipline comes from within. You don't have to inculcate that discipline in him. So, right. It's only such people who can get into the sport. You need to have that discipline. You need to have that posture. You need to have that grit in you, that you need to control an animal as fierce as a horse. Horse is not a docile animal, He is somebody that will kill you. The animal has the capacity to kill a human just by kicking a human. So right. I think, all this comes from what a human is made of. That is something that the army, the personality that an army builds, or the personality that is, inbuilt in you because you come from a lineage of, kings or somebody, that just helps into it. More laymen are getting into the sport, which is a really good thing to see. But, this personality development is something else again.
It's something else.
Something that cannot be achieved by any of the professions.
And this is a point that you said, that initially horse riding was a sport of the elite only. Raja Maharaja ke bacche jate hai, that is where they learned, and that is where you see those, I don't know which actor to point out. You see Randeep Hooda, if I'm not wrong, if you go to his profile, he is a member of that Mahalakshmi.
He's a national champion, by the way.
Yeah. So you can see that in him. So vaisa tha, but now that it's open to a lot of people are starting to realize that it's more than merely a sport. And yeah, I mean, I've had that experience as well. When you said that horses, I mean, I was afraid of horses to even touch them. Okay. But that rapport has been set. Okay, now I can touch the horses. And my trainer tells us a lot about riding horses, that you need to have that strength to be able to control an animal which is like 5 or 10 times heavier than you, if I'm not wrong.
Correct.
Yeah. So कभी-कभी क्या होता है कि उन्होंने बोला अच्छा ऐसा बस खाली शोल्डर पीछे करो, so you just do कि अच्छा शोल्डर पीछे गई. No, you have to do it with some strength. So that strength goes into turning that horse. But yeah, that is something that's, I mean, it's a privilege to learn, I'll be honest, but I'm also grateful for it.
And it is not a very cheap sport, let me tell you that. Like all the other adventure sports, like this is also a sport which is pretty expensive. Another reason why, common men, they don't indulge in the sport, because you need to pay a lot. Forget about the horse, even for the gear which you're wearing, it is very expensive. But if you have the grit, if you have the determination to do it, anything's possible.
I had this stupid epiphany when I started learning in the initial stages of the horse riding. I was like, why are people developing electric vehicles? Yeah, why? Because these electric vehicles are also so expensive. Tesla, I mean, Tesla is obviously US, but even if it is developed in India, it's going to be expensive, like a normal car. It's like, bring back the horses. Come on, just bring back the horses. An average life of a horse is 14 years. Okay, and you have to invest like few classes to learn it, and it is also cheaper than the electric car that is going to be manufactured sooner or later in the future. So bring back the horses, I would say. That is the message, ultimate message of this conversation. Bring back the horses. We don't need
I
electric
second that.
cars. I was like, why is Elon Musk trying to develop this electric car? Bring back the horses. Simple. Yeah. So with that, Arohi, it's been really fun to talk to you. And I felt like it's like a female version of Manan for me, but for you, it is like a male version of Arohi. That's what I would say. Similar yet so different, but it's been a genuine pleasure to have you. And yeah, I'm glad we could do this.
It's my pleasure to have been here because I have never, related with with somebody so much and as much as we have in common, especially equestrian. I know hardly people who know the sport. Now there's somebody sitting in front of me who's actually pursuing it. Like, I love it. But thank you so much for having me, Manan, because this was great. And we've had just so many talks otherwise also, other than this one podcast that we've done, and everything cannot be crammed up into one. So I'm hoping that we'll meet again and we'll talk about other things again soon.
Yeah. I'm not stopping the recording.